It is absolutely Pals Pulls Day, and I could not be any more excited because today is the official debut of the Absolute Universe with DC's release of Absolute Batman #1. Oh my God, I cannot wait to talk about this book. But that's not all. That is not all, because in addition to the fact that we have four
Count them.
four pals here today, we've got Cale,
What's up, bat dogs?
Marco,
Marco newly enlisted. Oh, damn. There it is.
Yo,
Let's go.
I loved how the tech just screwed you over for that bit.
For like a hot second. For my face.
that killed all the buzz that reveal would have had. Marco holding
Oh,
up his
I don't know, that
Justice
was-
League card.
pretty enjoyable to just see him holding nothing.
Yeah, that felt appropriate, honestly.
Totally covered.
Somebody clip that. I think we can clip, right?
Yeah.
Tyler,
I got nothing physically to show you besides the overwhelming look of dread on my face.
and I'm Sean. In addition to the four of us, we've got
Count them.
six of this week's biggest books. We have Absolute Batman #1.
Hey, wait a second. That's not what I read. I got this one.
Oh, that's
Oh.
cool.
Are those the same? I don't. What happened here?
Wow. They
Oh shit!
forgot to print mine, so
you
Wait,
have a
what
plan
did
for
you
that
what did
sketch
what
cover?
did you get, Marco?
I got the blank variant. I love getting these because then I get an artist to do to draw something on it.
You gonna get a Scott Steiner to draw something on it?
Maybe. We'll see.
Oh, Tyler, did you get one?
No, I was busy yesterday.
Oh, here, you can borrow my other one.
Oh,
That's right, your boy double dipped.
Wow.
Could I afford it? No, I could not.
Cale got that double D going
Wow.
on this week.
Dipped into that debt.
We
Okay.
skipping lunch for a couple of days.
Well, we can always eat comics. Speaking of comics, we've got Action Comics number 1070. We have Batman and Robin number 14. Green Lantern Civil Core Special #1. Oh, I can't wait to talk about this. The Ultimates #5.
Mm.
And the listener pick this week, Transformers #13. In addition to all of that, as if it already wasn't a great day, you guys are here. Whether you are with us live or in the future, thank you so much for being a part of this. Make sure you smash that like button. Be subscribed to the
Smash.
channel. We are under 100 subscribers away from 4,000. So let's make it happen. If you are not subscribed, now is the time. I have a question. How many of us here are official members of the Justice League?
Right here. Right here.
They don't support the United Kingdom, apparently. I did
Oh,
ask.
oh, so what are you saying? So you're not an official member of the league?
Whoa.
You're not in the
Whoa.
club? You don't have two of these babies like me?
Look at Cale. He doesn't have anything on him. Like, what is this?
Tyler holding up the Wendy's card. I don't know if you can get into the Watchtower with that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Justice League Unlimited doesn't extend to Wendy.
Listen, they said the creator said everyone's in.
Everyone's invited.
Chad, are you in? Are you in? Are you deputizable by me, the LCS sheriff? If you don't know what that means, you need to join our Discord server.
Oh, I should have made a slide for it. Damn it.
Well, look, those of us who are a part of the club, we know what it is. For everybody else, keep trying. Maybe you'll get there one day. Let's get into Absolute Batman. This is it. This is all we've been waiting for all summer long, all the videos we did, all the conversations. It all comes down to this. Scott Snyder, Nick Dragotta on the art, Frank Martin on the colors, Clayton Cowles on the letters. Feels like a dream team. And there are a lot of questions going into this book. How different is it going to be? How closely are they going to stick to the script, as it were, of traditional Batman stories? Would it just feel like another, Black Label book, or is it going to really feel meaningfully different? I think all of those are debatable questions, but what is not debatable to me is that this was a slam dunk. I thought this was fantastic.
I was probably one of the people when this was first announced on paper that thought Snyder's already done Bruce Wayne. He's done Batman. It was good, but Capullo was kind of a big part of that too. So maybe I wasn't the most excited from the get. Then I hear Dragota's on art with Frank Martin, and now that I finally have this technically in my hands, it's on an iPad. Man, this was good. I really, really enjoyed this. It was the first time in a while, even more so than last week, where I was excited to get my hands on a comic that I read it right away.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
This I have some thoughts. This just didn't knock it all the way out of the park for me. But I had fun reading it throughout. This was, I think, a really good attempt at differentiating and doing something more with a character that already has a pretty strong baseline. Um, but I think there are elements that feel repetitive, and we can get into what that is.
I thought this was good. I think I lean closer to Marco. I felt like it felt like just an Elseworlds book to me, and a good one, but some of the bits felt a little contrived, and we can get into that. But um, overall, I mean, I did have a good time.
Yeah, 100%.
So let's set the table, because there is a lot different, and the differences start right off the bat, right off the first page. We are seeing the inciting incident of how Bruce becomes Batman in this world. What spurs that on? And he's at a zoo. In fact, the issue is called The Zoo. The arc is called The Zoo. And weaving throughout the narrative in the present is this series of flashbacks that are showing you Bruce at the zoo with his family or his father during a school event that he essentially won for his class, a trip to the zoo. And on this trip to the zoo, some maniac with a gun fires off, and Bruce's dad dies in that attack. And theoretically, that coupled with, the general Gothamness of Gotham, it being a shitty place, inspires Bruce to become Batman. But this version of Bruce doesn't have the butler. He doesn't have the riches. He's a working class guy. He's a construction worker or whatever. His dad was a teacher. His mom, I think, is a social worker or something like that. So, they're very like grounded people. And I thought that was really interesting.
And I think that inciting incident at the zoo, it's never played in the same way that the Pearls and Crime Alley is played. It's a lot more realistic, and even the and this is gonna sound dark as hell, but even the scene of having a group of kids having to run away from a gunman feels very modern, which is
Yeah.
the most depressing thing to have to say. But that itself is like a reinvention, and it's not hokey the same way Bruce's parents getting killed in the main line can kind of get. It gets overly dramatic. It kind of plays with the themes of the movie theater and all that. This felt like, oh no, this world, this Gotham, shit's bad, and it's been bad even before Bruce was a kid. They had to deal with this. I thought that was a real, kind of a very, I don't want to say subtle. It's a guy with a gun at a zoo, but it's only a tiny twist that really changes things for the better.
Well, I think it's to that grounding piece. It just feels like this is any other person, and I think that that's good for the message of what Batman is. It's it could happen to anybody. Like crime could happen to anybody. This violence could happen to anybody, and it is the fact that it was this individual that comes out of that mud to be able to do something with that anger, with that want for not even revenge, because I don't think that that's what this and that's out being. And it's supposed to be an angrier Batman, but it's angrier from a different place. And I think that that was a really cool spin on that.
It's an anger of helplessness. And
Yeah.
I didn't even put together the connection of a school shooter, because they're on a field trip, right? And this happens at a zoo for sure, but it's essentially a school shooting. And the helplessness that you feel both as someone watching it, but then the helplessness that Bruce must feel, it's different because he's a little bit older than he would have been, in the mainline universe. And he could, not that he could do something about it, but like he, being a modern take, like he knows what's happening.
Well, I think also it feels like he's more integrated into being somebody who is part of the wave of crime. Like the story of um the family going to watch the movie, they were leaving their like castle, atop the hill to enter this environment, and he's just in it. He just lives that, so it feels much more like he is part of the city. And I think that's something that Snyder does well, is he makes the Gotham feel like another character. And I think Gotham gets a lot of shine here, especially the opening bits with Alfred when he first walks in. All that monologue is really cool to describe Gotham, and it's personified.
What's up, Atomic Hound? Good to see you. What's up, CW Gordon? Robotters 100, how's it hanging? Neon Knight, what's up, man? Steve Matthews, my man Steve. What's going on, Steve? Josh, what's up? Right back at you, Josh. Cole, how you doing? Izzy's Issues, good to see you hanging out here with us. Joseph Wolf, excuse me, says, finally caught a show in time. Well, welcome. Thank you for being here. Glad you can make it.
Finally,
Got it.
what's up, hot dog?
Yeah. You got a whole lot of you rocking with us. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Be subscribed to the channel if you are not. Marco, speaking of that opening, well, it's the opening, but it also runs throughout the monologue by Alfred. You know, first of all, that reminded me tremendously of The Dark Knight Returns. And I know that that's one of Snyder's favorite Batman comics. He talked about that a lot during his class that he teaches on Substack, and he broke down that first issue. And a big part of that first issue is Bruce's inner monologue when he's
Mm.
racing, and you kind of get to see into his world. And he does a really smart thing here, Snyder does, where he plays on your expectations. You believe that that is Bruce
Yeah.
because it's, the narration is also sort of Scott speaking to you. It's Scott speaking about how long he's been away from Gotham. He says, hello again, Gotham. It's been a long time. Well, it's been about 5 years since Scott's time in Gotham ended. So it's Scott's return to Gotham as well. And in your mind, you go, well, if this is Scott speaking, then of course that must be Bruce. He's in a motorcycle doing something a little dangerous. And then it's not Bruce. It's Alfred.
If I'm not mistaken, that's like an opening line of Dark Knight Returns too. Something like it.
Don't recall.
Yeah. And
I don't remember.
And the constant news clips throughout too are it's very Dark Knight.
And then because you brought that up, that's probably my first critique, is that it felt like it aped a bit on it didn't feel as direct an homage as much as it did. It leaned on that familiarity to build its world. And that didn't make it feel distinct enough. I think to Cale's Elseworld point, that made it feel like it was more in line with that kind of a story than it is its own separate universe. Because even the party animals, that felt like the mutants, slice and dice, the pure violence, the escalation and the way that things build. And so derivative is too strong a word, I think, but you can definitely see the influence. And from page one, that influence was felt by me, and it didn't necessarily take me out. but I thought it was very prominent.
I really like that though, because I like that it's giving you something familiar, but then it's twisting it in some way. Like, yes, it's definitely supposed to remind you of The Dark Knight Returns, but it's Alfred talking, right?
Mm.
We haven't been in the mind of this Bruce. We don't know how he thinks. There's all the inner monologues are from Alfred, right? Even when they tease us with it again when we get to Croc's gym and there's the guy boxing and training and you think that's Bruce and it's not Bruce. You turn the page and Bruce is this jacked monster. You know, he's running around looking like Brock Lesnar. And he never we don't know who he is at all. This is Scott not putting his chips out on the table. He's actually playing them closer to his chest than we've ever seen. Even if you compare this to The Dark Knight, that's a very vulnerable book.
Yeah.
We're getting right in his mind.
Yeah. Deus Ex Macchiato with the $5 spot says, my conspiracy is that they made Batman swole to cast Alan Ritchson as Batman, absolute Batman later. Winky
You mean
face.
Aquaman and Hawkman? No way this guy gets a third man.
Manny, you says the Batman who lives.
Hell yeah.
Yo, that was such a shocking scene because you're right. They swerve you again with that person who initially is on the bag, and then you just see this brolic ass dude like Bane level, and
It's Dragon Ball Z level, Marco. Let's be real.
yeah,
It's like
yeah, muscles on.
Broly.
And it seemed a little it seemed almost a little excessive, and I didn't let that uh, muddy anything for me. And I think it made a lot more sense once we get farther down the line where Alfred goes through all the history of how long he's been in the city, what he's been doing in the background. I think that helps to contextualize a lot of it. He's doing this for the city, for the people, for the next child who could be him.
My thing with that scene and what differentiates or doesn't quite differentiate enough is that he destroyed that bag. What we get the impression of again, and he has to drop $120 to fix it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no big deal. I'll just hit you and I'm paid." Sorry? Oh, my man's not poor enough.
Yeah.
He is an
Yeah.
engineer. They get paid pretty well, but he's not 1%.
Oh, okay, but
Yeah.
we'll get there. I have problems.
Hey, he said when I get paid. He didn't say when he would get paid.
Yo, he's living paycheck to paycheck, man. That's relatable as fuck.
But he can drop 120 to fix a punching bag? Nah.
Yeah, I mean, there are other changes too. There are other big changes too. We've got a reworked Black Mask, who appears to be the leader of the party animals. I don't think they are literally directly saying that, but it's insinuated, I would say, pretty heavily by the book.
Wait, who?
Go ahead.
Who did you say was the leader?
Black
Black
Mask.
Mask.
Oh, okay.
And he is referred to as Roman
Yeah.
by one of the people. So yeah, I guess it is Black Mask. I really like the vibe of the party animals. Marco brought up the mutants from The Dark Knight Returns, and I can see the similarities. We need to see more of these characters to know sort of what they're about. But if you want to make something feel scary, I think they nailed it with this issue. You know, these party animals are no joke.
And they're quite literally the antithesis of what Snyder is also known for, which is the owls. Like, these guys are out in the open, loud, killing willy-nilly, can be anyone. So I like how it's not Snyder rehashing anything.
No secrecy. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And to that, I think a lot of this book doesn't take place all the way at night. There's a lot of sunset scene. There's a lot of afternoon scene, which I thought was different. So from Dragota's part, I thought it was really interesting to place this Batman in different settings, from that perspective, specifically where he lurks. Right, he lurks in the twilight, not necessarily in the dark.
Well, dude, you want to talk about that? The coloring on this book from Frank Martin is stellar.
Dragotta was a known quantity to me. Like I knew I would like Dragotta's art from name alone. Then seeing the black and white previews and like seeing this, it's phenomenal. But seeing it fully in color with Frank Warren's colors, like that one page where it's three intercut, panels of Batman in the sunset, and it's just these bright reds and pinks and oranges, which is not a Batman color palette at all, and it's intercut with those Dark Knight, very much so news exactly, Sean, yeah, and it shows Batman in full black, so he just shows much more throughout that page. It's great, and like just tonally and just the palette wise, it's distinct from a Batman book.
Yeah, and right after those big sequences, especially once he appears to the crowd, you have the yeah. Oh, that wasn't even the page that blew me away. It was the page right before that, Sean. If you don't mind pulling that one up real
The
quick.
literal one, this
The
one.
little right next to it. Yeah, that whole like rectangle there of transitioning from oranges to this like contrast with the blue and purple, and then you get the big orange splash page. And then as you continue down to the next page, you get these deep reds with the punches and the explosions. The palette continues to shift through the pages. Incredible.
Yeah, using the reds to transform into purple, which leads into the black, is really interesting. Yeah.
I could truly, I think we could do 2 hours on this comic book. This is like, this is why I always say,
Maybe we
sorry, Cale?
should. Maybe we
Right?
should.
Like
Hey, you know
I
what?
feel like there's enough there. And that's why I was talking to you guys about the idea that we could do like an after show this Saturday to talk more about this book. There is so much here. When Snyder talks about Dark Knight Returns #1, the way he speaks about it, you can tell that he sat and dissected and analyzed every page and panel of that book. And he was rewarded for that as a creator. He learned how to bake all that stuff in to the work. And you can see it and feel it here. Like everything from the writing, the art, the colors, it's all working together to produce something. Like, forget about whether or not it feels distinct, right? Like, just take that part out of it, the craft part. How good is this from a
Yeah.
craft standpoint?
Yeah.
Can I call it one of the things that was really interesting to me?
Yeah.
The Rogues Gallery.
Oh, I love that.
So two things with the Rogues Gallery that really kind of jumped out to me in this. A, they're his friends. Like we get introduced to Croc pretty early on, who's it's essentially Matt, like almost like Matt Murdock's dad from Daredevil. He's just this guy who owns a boxing gym, and also maybe has a real infatuation with reptiles and pets, which I thought was adorable. I'm like, oh, Waylon Jones, a great guy. But then that reveal that all of the people that he kind of grew up with in his neighborhood were Edward, so Riddler. Then you have Selina, you have Penguin, all these characters, and they were there during the titular moment where the shooting happens, right?
Yep.
Because they were with him, and they were with him when he was shoved. So Thomas Wayne, presumably his name is Thomas, shoves them all into a bat sanctuary and closes the door. So they were with him during his inciting incident, and knowing that they are now the DNA of what Batman is built into these characters too, in a way, is really interesting to see how that's going to, go further throughout the series. And we know Snyder just said today he has at least 2 years on this. If it sells well, maybe more.
Oh,
So
that's a positive.
I'm really excited to see like what the trauma that caused Batman to become Batman. And maybe he became Batman because he's inside and all this stuff is happening to him and he sees these little bat things here and there that kind of ingrained themselves in him. But like, what if somebody else saw something different? What could that do to a child?
Well, and Bruce was already obsessed with bats. We learn at some point in the issue he rebuilt a structure, a bridge of some kind in the shape of a bat that had like telescopic arms or something.
Origami.
Presumably that's where his wings are.
That's what
is sort of the origin of the design.
Isn't that design what won him the prize to get the zoo trip too? With
Something like that.
yeah.
with the kids, yeah.
But to that point, that's all of those characters. That's why one is
Yeah.
Croc. That's why Selina's the cat. That's why Penguin's the penguin. I don't know what Riddler's is going to be necessarily, but
Yeah, it's a
that's
good
why they
question.
all have that. That's all a collective trauma, and they're manifesting that in an animal or something to some degree, right? And so for the way I started to think about that, and I really appreciated this part of the book because it was just a picture, right? It is how does that affect who they are as characters, and how does that then bounce back at Bruce? Because Bruce now knows that uh, Croc is dabbling in exotic animals that Penguin imports. There's some illegalities there, right? But there's a lot of room for that. He's much more gray than he is black and white, and I like that as the wrinkle. That was probably the biggest change that I thought was of interest. Is he's on the ground, so he gets it, and he understands where people are being harmful and where people maybe are, uh, they're breaking the law, but they're not hurting somebody. And I wonder if that plays a role into something later.
Like a victimless crime.
Sure, yeah.
Hey, Amin Perez joining the VI Pals, joining the channel memberships. Thank you so much. Amin, that's a good reminder to everybody watching right now that you can support the channel by becoming a channel member and get access to perks like daily, at the current moment, daily videos. We've been dropping videos every single day, first for our channel members, and then for everybody else. We are all in this month. If you haven't heard, now you know we are all in. Every day we're dropping videos. We'll be with you guys. And our channel members get all that stuff first. So thank you, Amin. Yeah, there are like 100 people watching right now on a Thursday night. That is
Yo,
amazing. Clap it up for
wow.
yourselves.
Let's
You guys
go.
are beautiful. We're talking absolute Batman, and we're gonna continue to do that. Um, I really like the wrinkle of the kids being, his friends and them growing up, I assume, to become the villains that we know them to be. I didn't at first though. I read this comic twice.
I think that's my thing. I think that's sort of the stuff I was circling around being a bit contrived. But I didn't realize they were all together in the zoo. That could change things for me.
I don't know that it's explicit, but that was what I assumed.
I think it's a fair assumption, but I don't think it's explicit.
Okay.
Like the picture that he looks at, is it a picture that they took that day?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Because it doesn't, like, at face value, it doesn't look like that. But the comic book is telling you that they've been friends since they
Yeah.
were kids. So it's fair to assume that they were in the same school, because if you have childhood friends, how else did you know them? And it's by then fair to assume that they were there that day. But certainly, even if they weren't there that day, they could have been affected by it because those are kids of their contemporary age. But we'll learn more. The point I was going to make, though, is it contrived? Yes, it definitely is. And I think that Scott Snyder, if he has any weaknesses as a writer, that could maybe be it, that he's willing to do something that just feels completely contrived for the sake of the story. But that's the thing, is if it works, it doesn't matter if it's a bit contrived. And for me right now, I'm willing to give him grace because I assume it's going to work. Like, sure, it's got to be different, right? We want different. Let's let him do something different.
Could you explain the contrivance? I'm not. I just want to understand what you guys mean.
It just seems really convenient that all his childhood friends are going to happen to grow up and be all the villains we know.
Oh,
Right.
Okay. Gotcha.
But then if you make him witnesses to a mass murder, maybe.
And then it's so convenient that the design he made in 5th grade that happened to be about a bat and inspired the design of his cape, and he's so into bats.
Yeah.
That stuff,
I get
Right.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. And it makes me go,
yeah.
It landed, but I see your perspective.
I roll my eyes at it and I
Okay.
just move on because, again, it's something that Scott Snyder will always do. It's just a part.
It's stuff like that like really turns me off specifically about Snyder's writing, because it's got that like chosen one vibe about it that I just that makes Batman less appealing to me.
He's got to be Hokage.
I don't know what that means.
Unfortunately, I do. I wish I didn't.
Believe it.
I want to talk about the action because there is some action here, and I thought it was awesome. This action sequence that we get of Batman versus the party animals, I presume, is indicative of the kinds of differences between this version of Batman and the one we're used to. There is a 19 panel page, which is fucking nuts, but I counted it. It's 19 panels. And it's Batman versus all these party animals, and he doesn't give a damn. This version of Batman isn't a killer, but don't push him because he will get as close as he can. His bat ears are like knives, and he uses them. He doesn't mind.
Yeah, it's like mainline Zaz in a way. He's just slicing and dicing people.
His chest plate is removable, and it's an axe. He has a battle axe. What the fuck is happening here? He chopped that dude's hand off.
Clean.
Somebody pointed it out. It's a battle axe.
But
love that. Love that. Like, you would never see mainline Batman do something like that.
Go.
I was gonna say, and that 19 panel page, Sean, you brought up during the action, it kind of feels cinematic in a way. Like when I read something like that, that's so fast paced, I always think of like an Edgar Wright style, like just smash cuts constantly.
Fast cuts.
And you can hear maybe like a quick sound effect for each cut. So like there's a certain kineticism that a page like that adds, and it's like, oh, this Batman's not the skulking in the shadows one. He's in broad daylight chopping people's hands off.
Hell yeah.
The kineticism in these panels too is next level. Like Dragotta is dragging your eyes exactly where he wants them to be.
If you like Dragotta's art in this, check out Ghost Cage. It's a book he did for Image Comics. He wrote and drew it black and white about a year or two ago. Phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very Akira adjacent too.
Cale, could you pull that up a little closer? Because there's that one panel on that second row right there, where the blades come out, and it's the right.
Hell yeah.
That I heard that. I heard that. I was like, yo. And then to your point on dragging the eye, right? When he first throws the initial batarangs, and it's the tuck tuck tuck, like it bounces, right? Your eyes following that. Then it goes next, and da da da. You get those things that pop out. It's so good.
But then these red panels also like crazy.
Cale buys one comic book physically in his life, and all of a sudden,
In my life. Yeah, in my life.
In your life here on this podcast.
Okay.
Thank you to MJ Looney for the 5 spot, who says critics of the bat emblem been real quiet since bats turned it into an axe and cut that thug's hand off. Let's go, MJ Looney.
Hell yeah.
Come on now.
I remember when it was, I think, San Diego Comic-Con, before we knew it would be an axe, Jim Lee did a sketch at the con, and it had Batman with an axe. I'm like, that looks so dumb. What is he doing? This is nothing like Absolute Batman.
I mean, it does still look
he knew more.
Kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I love it.
Is he's like symbol so big it's a broad axe.
I also like how when it's off, it's like a gold emblem, in a way. It's like the gold
Kevlar or whatever.
Yeah, the gold that would be typically in the oval of the bat. It's just
maybe
it.
Yeah.
Because it's still technically the bat signal too.
Just see that.
Yeah. Yep.
But like the way that Batman uses the wings essentially as like Scorpion, get over here, fucking chains, nuts. That is just crazy looking. That's so, I don't know if it's innovative or not, because I haven't seen every interpretation of Batman. It's new to me and it's fresh, man.
I think for Batman, I think it's pretty new, but using the cape like that in general, I think is fairly old. There was I think I've talked about it before. There's an old superhero show called The Cape, where that was literally the whole thing with the cape.
I mean, it's Spawn. which is funny because Capullo's not on this.
And then the storytelling of this sequence right here, like it's just so smartly done. This is so professional. He yanks this dude with the chain, right? Sends him flying. There's still another guy there. We see this guy go flying. The next panel shows us the guy in red getting chucked. Time is passing, right? He's got this guy by the neck, and now we see this dude flying into the window there. Like it's just getting across that passage of time. You're filling in the blanks with your mind. You can play that fight out.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, dude.
But Sean, on the same page, it's still so Batman because look at all the onomatopoeia there. It's Batman 66 really. Donk bong in it, but it's just drawn in a way where it's like sitting behind some of the actual set pieces. It's it's so good.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. And then the moment where he just hulks out and he's like, "Get out of my way!" And he just scares the rest of the party animals away. Like I was seeing like Goku when he powers up. I was seeing like the Hulk. I was seeing so many different things. Like that's such an anime type of moment, but it feels appropriate here. Like they're opening up the scope of what is acceptable to do with Batman in the first issue.
Yep.
Mm.
Setting that ground right now, quick, because
Yeah.
then to that point, right? Where's the escalation point? Like, how far does that go, right? And I think the fact that we have that potential is really interesting.
Love it, man.
Honestly, after seeing images of Absolute Superman, I feel like this Batman is gonna kick his ass. Like,
Yo, I like that he's also. It shows his techiness and intelligence in different ways. I feel like that's been lost in some of modern Batman, like his engineering skills, his ability to plan methodically. Like to that same scene where he scares the party animals away, the Alfred comments like, "Oh, if you were really tactical, you would have," and then boom, explosions, because he thinks through that stuff. He had this ready, and he knew that means he knew where they were going. He's been tracking them for days. That means he set everything up days ago because he's part of the engineering team, right? Or even months ago, maybe he's maybe been leading them to this point so that he can show up and do what he has to do. Incredible.
Was that Batman that did that?
That
Did
was
the
him.
explosion, or
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that Alfred?
No, that was Batman.
But look at the oh, maybe. Okay.
yeah,
I'm looking at the gloves. Looking at the gloves between that panel and the panels above.
They might look a little different, but based off the text, the insinuation is that Alfred is
And
surprised.
also the background.
Mm.
Because it says, but if you were a true tactician, you'd have set up a trap for those fleeing the cut. Next panel, boom, Batman watching the explosion,
Right.
and then Alfred going, "Hey," almost as if, all right, well, you did think of everything.
He's confirming it.
But I guess my association here is Alfred did it because he's the true tactician. I think you're right, but I also like it that sequence isn't super clear to me.
That might be like a slight inconsistency. I initially I thought, oh, like there was just a random explosion, but the text sort of filled in the gap. I made the assumption off the text.
Maybe that's what it is.
I read it as kind of both of you, where it is Alfred's hand, but he's not clicking the button yet. We're just seeing him almost click it, and right as he's about to, the explosion happens.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Maybe there are different explosions or whatever.
But Alfred was told not to engage here.
Only until because it was disrupting the party animals. He wasn't supposed to engage with the party animals. It was only unless something disrupted that, and Bruce was that disruption, which is why they gave him green light to go in and get closer and use force.
Yeah, Mike's Total Dragon channel says he read it as Alfred as well. Tilo says Alfred was watching. Coravan says Alfred didn't do it. It was Bruce.
I think Tyler's right.
Bruce, fuck's sake, I think.
FFS. And sorry, we didn't shout out MP with the 20 spot. My only major issue is Bruce isn't an orphan. seeing both his parents simultaneously murdered as a boy is what makes Batman Batman, in my opinion. I think Leslie Tompkins as his guardian would have been better than Martha being alive. I don't know. I disagree. I think the point is that he is a victim of an act of violence. That is enough to create who Batman is. If anything, this Martha being alive gives him a different softness, and I think for story purposes, a weakness.
I also think it'll give him a place to channel the real anger he has at the world and Gotham, that he probably hasn't been able to when it comes to Martha. And I think that's where Alfred is going to come in, because Alfred, I think traditionally it's probably safe to say Alfred in the main universe has had to play sort of the role of both, the mother and father in raising Bruce. But here we're only going to see like the paternal sort of masculine energy coming out of Alfred, which appears to be like that sort of militaristic violence.
Actually, that's a good point. Alfred is technically the father figure, right? Like if you look at it from that perspective, Bruce lost his parents, but he still had somebody. He still had a guardian. He still had somebody who was caring and taking care of him and would lead him down the right path. And I think this is that same thing, but it just happens to be his mother.
And she's a social worker, so that in itself is going to have, like, when she eventually finds out that he's Batman, if that ever happens, or if she doesn't know already, that's going to be a conflict of how they go about fixing Gotham. There's an innate conflict already in there.
We're not necessarily done with this conversation yet, but I do want to let you guys know that I have something to show you after we give our final thoughts on this book. I have something to show you all.
That
is
including us three, because this wasn't talked about.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of question marks, but that's good because this is issue 1. And I think that the book is compelling us to ask ourselves questions about, all of these aspects of the character, of his supporting cast. Like, we're talking about father figures. We don't even necessarily know that he doesn't have a father figure. Have we been introduced to everybody in his life yet?
And to be fair, we don't see his dad actually die.
We've
No
barely
face, no
been
case.
introduced to him.
Yeah. So I think we've got a lot of reasonable questions. Everything introduced here to me is compelling and interesting. I like this new version of Batman a lot. He looks cool as shit. His weaponry is cool. He's not pulling his punches. And that is an interesting wrinkle for me to Batman. And also, by the way, Barbara's black.
Hell yeah.
Let's talk about that shit. Barbara's black. Now, is Barbara black because Jim Gordon, went to the dark side? Or is Barbara black because I'm just having fun? Or is Barbara black because Jimmy G adopted a young child? Like, which one is it?
He likes to see that shit bounce. That's why, bro.
He likes what?
He likes to see that shit bounce.
Oh my god. Oh my god. See, you could at least be classy about it.
You have to go there.
I was thinking it.
Well, yeah, that's the
unbelievable.
Yeah, there's a lot of like there's that, addition that's a question mark. The fact that Batman uses a gun in this, but it shoots mini batarangs. Like, at least Batman's not really totally anti-gun. He's a little more realistic about it.
Well, he's non-lethal at the end of the day.
Sure, it's non-lethal.
But whatever to whatever degree.
Did I miss the guns?
He takes Alfred's gun, and then when he meets him at
he modifies it.
He modifies it to shoot, mini batarangs. Look like batarang cereal in a way.
Jesus, Joe. Joe in the chat. The size of Bruce. I doubt Thomas is his dad. I'm thinking Gorilla Grodd instead.
Oh my
I
goodness.
I do like that we have a Barbara Gordon who's
Oh,
younger,
yeah, thank you.
not necessarily the same age, but it does seem like well, Gordon's always been older, but I would still assume he would be of an age where if he had a daughter, it would be somewhat on par. So I like that they've kept that age discrepancy. I wonder, I wonder what that means for the character and how uh, she's gonna do something in the future.
It makes her more of a contemporary to Batman, rather than Batman being her, I guess, what's the word? I'm looking
Mentor.
for? Mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a real movement lately, and I don't mean that in any sort of pejorative way, to make sort of the Gordons black, because they are, if I'm not mistaken, in
And the Matt
Yes.
Reeves Batman.
the Batman,
Yes.
in the Batwheels cartoon, Batgirl is also black, and then we have the ill-fated Batgirl movie. It's interesting.
And
There's no
and the
commentary
Cape
for it.
Crusader also. They're black in that as well. So yeah, that's definitely feels like a concerted effort of some kind. The new show on Amazon.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. And Gordon's the mayor. We didn't discuss that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Was Bullock the commissioner then, or was Barbara the commissioner?
I think that no, Bullock was the commissioner.
I'm kind of down with that too. That's another like just
Oh.
little twist where Bullock's
That makes
relationship
sense.
with Bruce has never been the same as Gordon's. So he's not going to have commissioner access, but he might have beat cop access with Barbara.
But wasn't she? It seemed like Barbara was a lawyer or like
Barbara's
a politician.
Barbara's a cop. What?
I thought
She's
she had a uniform
definitely
on. Yeah.
a cop.
In Cape
Oh, okay.
Crusader, she's a
Oh.
lawyer. That's what you're thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah. Man, this is high marks. This is not only is this my pick of the week, but this is a really fucking great comic book. It really is.
What about the twist at the end? The epilogue.
Okay.
Not to take the
So,
wind out of your sails,
yeah.
Sean.
I'm fine. Okay, I'm fine. It's just a pull for me. You reminded me.
Yeah, so there is a twist at the end where we get a reveal of the Joker, and the twist on him is that he's a rich guy who doesn't like jokes. He's super serious and rich. So they basically took Batman and flipped him, to make this Joker. I honestly genuinely don't have any opinion except to say that I didn't need this page.
At all.
Yeah.
I think it's okay if you seed it early. Like the Joker exists in this world. Establish that he is creepy as shit. Dragotta drew that like one peeking eye out of the shadow. I thought it was gross. And plus he's that rich, so he's immediately gross. Yeah, I think it's fine to just establish this exists in this world. We'll get to it later.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. It didn't detract from anything, but I didn't need it. I was very happy with what I got, and that extra page didn't increase my happiness level, I guess.
Yeah.
I gotta give it 2 big old green flags, guys. It's an easy pull. Get it. Get this book.
I'm with you, Sean. This is a pick of the week for me, for sure.
Same.
I think that if anyone's interested in just reading something, something fresh from Scott Snyder, but something fresh in comics that kind of just feels like something I haven't read in a while, and it feels more than just a Black Label book. There's something behind it. There's just energy behind it that feels different. I really enjoyed it. Honestly, I would recommend it just on the Dragotta and Frank Martin art alone.
All right. Yeah, it could be my pick of the week.
Oh, a unanimous pick of the week. That's a beautiful thing.
Let's
I love it.
go.
Right out the gate. I mean, shit, we didn't talk for nearly an hour about this damn book and have it not be a unanimous pick week, right? I promised I would show you guys something. So while I'm doing that, if you guys could find comments that you like so we can, hear it from the fans or from the listeners. But
Style So Serious says, I need to see more, but for now, it's all right.
Damn,
Sure.
dude.
That's a fair response.
Isaac Taylor popped. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go for it.
Isaac Taylor popped off a 5 spot. He said, I like the Black Mask story. The skinned faces were so creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see where this take on Black Mask is going to go.
Yeah.
So Cale tried to show me up earlier by showing off his multiple covers, which was cute. And I thought that, I would save this for later for the stack and stuff like that. But with the amount of people that we have here, with the amount of excitement around this comic, I got to show off what I did, right? I got to Mr. Me Too right now. That's what I have to do.
Well,
what I did was I went to my LCS and I said, which covers am I going to get? Because I can't just be a cover A guy. I can't just be that guy.
Yeah.
I got to go hard. Well, I went pretty hard. I
that the
went
100?
and got the Dan Panosian variant
Okay, nice.
for Absolute Batman. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not showing the price because I want you guys to tell me how much you think I dropped on this bad boy. And I'm not pulling it out the cover.
Yo,
Funny, I'm not. I bought 2 copies specifically, so I didn't have to pull mine out of the cover too.
at Midtown, and let's see, that's probably something one in something variant. Plus, you got they like
And
to
those,
stock up their prices. I'm gonna say you dropped $45 on that.
I think I already know the answer to this one because I look up the slides and the covers, so I don't want to answer.
45.
Go all in, Cale.
Loving
know
the
what?
numbers.
James Jones says 60, and James Jones is a perennial winner. My gut said 60. I'm gonna go 60.
Woo.
So we've got Cole at 149. Rami says that $20 cover. Horrorban says 100. Steve Matthews says 50. Roboter says $75. James Jones already says 60. Marowak says 90. David Melendez Doria says 85. Couchin and Slouchin with C. Bizzle says 100. Atomic Count says 75. Near says 120. Silhouette says 50. Sledhead says 100. Scary Harpy notices that the price is wrong. Neon Knight says 99. Steve Canera says a 5,000th of a Bitcoin. I'm impressed says $150. CW Gordon says 69. Nice. Josh says $80. I'm impressed says 420. Blaze it. The Watcher says $2,319. That could be a reference to something else. Izzy says $65. Gil Herm says 55. Today in Comics says 125. Silhouette says, Sean, bro, chill out. Save some money for Christmas. Sean, you guys don't know this. This is deep show lore. Sean doesn't spend this money. This is cousin Bean.
That's true. Look, you guys are crazy. You must think I'm a sicko. I did not spend.
Not Cosmo. Cosmo thinks you only spent $5.99.
Oh, no, unfortunately not Cosmo. I wish. One of you did get it exactly right though, because the actual amount is absolutely $20.
Damn, that would have been a little more.
I have some bad news, Sean.
What's that?
That is a 1 of 3 connecting variant. So you'll need to spend $20 more 2 times for the other 2 absolute books.
Well, tune in to Pals Pulls on the weeks that those books come out, because I might have the 3 variants that connect. I love this cover. When we talked about which covers we wanted to get, this was one of the ones I shouted out. So when I saw it, I had to grab it. I was like, yeah, I gotta have this. But
yeah, This one was the last one my shop had. And I went to another shop to get the cover A.
Oh
Show
shit!
that off again.
I don't even know if I saw that cover. I don't remember seeing that. Julia Raul said $225. I'm not crazy. Nah, I'm not
Yeah,
crazy.
you swerved us. You were talking about $100 variant last week. I'm like, don't tell me. Don't tell me you did it.
Hey, New York Comic Con hasn't happened yet,
Yeah.
but it is next week.
Got to get that Frank Miller Naruto running Absolute Batman cover.
Yo, I'm gonna be on the lookout for some covers, man, at New York Comic Con. Sledhead says, get those super chats in, guys. That's what I'm talking about. If you want me to walk away from my LCS with the remaining connecting covers, right, so that I can have a threesome, Batman, can you guys please get your heads out of the gutter? Is that possible today?
You said a couple things, Sean, that made me.
Is it possible today? I am speaking
doubt
about the Trinity. Okay, Tyler?
It's not going to ever change ever since the Challengers. I'm sorry.
That was a good movie. But the Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman connecting covers, I might do it.
Well, Amin Perez is gonna fund it. He said €20. He said, let's get that Absolute Superman cover next. And listen, that €20, that'll go a little further. You could get a Subway sandwich on the way home. That conversion rate.
A $5 footlong?
I think so.
$5 shits? Why would you?
Well, listen.
I wouldn't want to do that.
Wow. Thank you, Amin. Really appreciate that. That money is not going to be going to me getting the Absolute Superman cover necessarily, but it will, it does feel good.
It will help feed you in New York Comic Con, that's for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Did you guys find any good questions? The chat has a lot of things to say about Absolute Batman, and I want to make sure that we are listening to them as well.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore, but I saw Comics Are Dope questioned what is the variant that I have up on the screen. This is the Javier Fernandez Comic Corner New York Comic Con 2024 variant.
Oh, whoa.
It's a Akira homage.
Wait, I gotta get that.
I know, it's New York Comic Con too, so
I'm into it too.
That's the one I'm gonna hopefully get my hands on.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that. Izzy's issues with the $2 says it has never been possible, Sean. But that's not on me. I was trying to talk. That's all I was trying to do, and you guys interrupted me with your grossness. My goodness.
I won't apologize.
What else is
Fresh News 24/7 says missed the first half, so sorry if it's been said, but how well did they do filling out this world and character building in this issue? Even moments like when one of the, I think it's in the meeting, someone says even the cops aren't doing their jobs, and Bullock reacts, and you see Gordon go, whoa, Bullock, and he backs off. Even just little moments like that were really good.
I think it does a pretty strong job. It's not, it's not like we have a perfect picture of who everybody is, but that's good. We shouldn't, you want bits and pieces. And I think choosing Alfred as the POV was smart because this is a version of Alfred that we've never quite seen before. And it allows us to look at this iteration of Bruce/Batman from outside of his POV. I don't think there was a better character you could have chosen. Maybe Barbara, but Alfred's difference gets across the harshness of this world. We're used to him being the loving, caring butler. Now he's some kind of an FBI type agent who doesn't give a damn and, uses guns and all that stuff. So I think it does a great job of getting across who its characters are for a first issue.
That was one of the questions that I had pulled from Amin. Who's Alfred working for? Maybe some kind of version of the Court of Owls. He has a past of like MI6 and stuff, so it's not super far and away. But for it to be villainous, I think is the difference. And I still haven't given it any thought because I kind of want to be surprised. And ideally, if this is the version we're getting, it won't, I don't think it'll be something like the Court of Owls or something familiar. It should be something new, and that'll play into something that has implications for the story being told, especially now that Martha's in the mix.
I honestly just assumed it was a random like organization. I didn't put much thought into whether that was a relevant factor or not. It certainly could be. I just thought it was like, okay, he's a secret agent of some kind.
Yeah.
What I was really curious about is who is it that he was chasing? Was that Ra's al Ghul that he was chasing that they'd lost sight of?
Wasn't it the Joker?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah, I thought it
Joker.
was Joker. Yeah.
Did they specifically say that?
I think-
Manila. Yeah, because they said we lost him somewhere in the Philippines, and then it cuts to Manila, and that's the Joker.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Good to know. I didn't piece that together. Thank you.
Yeah.
Robert Catchaback with the 20 spot says NYCC Food Fund. Dude, Robert, thank you so much. You're a
My
double
man.
dipper because you're a patron and now you're hitting us with that. That is really awesome of you. Thank you so much. And that will absolutely that money right there will go into our mouths and our stomachs. So thank you very much. You guys let that
Joe-
go?
I was told to let it go. Yeah.
And it's not going to go into mine. So, oh, actually, it could.
Yeah, we already said it.
We
would.
have to talk about that. Joe said earlier that he thinks Bruce Wayne shouldn't be peak yet. Wish Alfred trained Bruce to get better. 24 years old and a few dojo classes shouldn't make you better than a seasoned Alfred. You had me in the first half. This at least in this issue, with the explanation of Bruce's, how he got to be Batman or whatever, and that he's 24 years old, I went, nah, come on. Like, he, went through all this and got, this job where he can now afford to be Batman and afford to replace punching bags all day. I'm just like, at 24, you can't even get an entry level job at 24.
They
My
say
man should still be
24
working retail.
They say 24 explicitly.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe
Alright,
Alfred says it.
For some reason, I thought he was older because he has all this. He does all this shit, like spending 6 months stints in that case.
Just some
That
guy,
sounds
24
insane,
years
yeah.
old. Mom is a social worker, dad is a teacher.
Okay. Yeah.
There was a good question that we got that came in from JD Schlageter. Sorry if I said your last name wrong, JD, but welcome. Good to see you. Says New 52 Batman issue 1 versus Absolute Batman issue 1. That is a fantastic question. I've got an answer. My answer is Absolute Batman number 1. If that was not the answer, that would be a pretty damning thing for Scott. Because to me, that would say he didn't learn anything in the intervening years. I believe that everything he's learned as a writer of Batman, as a person living in the world who has to consider things around him, a person who has kids, I feel like he put himself in the Thomas Wayne position of like, what would it be like if my kid died? Or rather, if I died in my kid's life? What are my fears? My kid dying to a school shooting or being at risk at a school shooting. I just feel like there's so much at play here. This is his Dark Knight Returns. And I think that's all there.
Yeah.
Rami says the pal spent an hour on the first book.
Yeah, we did. We sure did. Yikes.
Ooh, this is a better question. Absolute Batman Ultimate Spider-Man 1 for relaunches.
I was thinking about this.
Damn.
Easy this one for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it's this one
There-
because
there-
it actually does stuff
Yep.
to reinvent.
Yeah.
Like Ultimate, I almost call it Absolute Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man reinvents the world. But really, the only thing that's different about Peter is that he's a little bit older and he's got a beard. All the other stuff is stuff we've seen in various ways.
I think it's a real strong first issue. Ultimate Spider-Man #1. It certainly was my pick of the week and all of that. But it's more like, oh wow, it's so good here. Like, wow, there's kids, there's Mary Jane, and there's Marco Cicchetto. Like, this is such a beautiful place. Like, I'm so happy to be here. It's almost fan service in that way. Whereas this is the grit and the grind and the gutter of this new world, and it spends a lot of time, introducing the players and stuff like that. It's also a chunkier issue one. I don't know how many pages it is, but it's not 20. So I think it's probably got more room to do what it's doing than Ultimate #1 did. So I would go with this.
Yeah, you guys convinced me. That makes sense.
Amen says, yeah, this one has action.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true. Yeah.
And then, this one's going to be like 1 month later.
Yeah.
Don't you dare.
Please don't. Please don't.
Launched in October, next issue, November.
Neon Knight says, let's get through the first arcs, though, to be fair. Yeah, for sure. We were just talking first issue to first issue. There's still a lot to go here before we really know how much we're going to love it. But if we're judging first to first, I feel good about my answer.
I don't want to call my shot here, but I feel like first arc of Absolute Batman is going to be a lot better than the first arc of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Shit, I feel like this first issue was better than the first arc of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Damn it. I don't even want to get in that conversation, man, because I feel bad. This is good as fuck, though. Like, it's really good. Could be recency bias. I don't know, but this hit me in a certain place. Somebody in the chat earlier said it. I think it was Cosmo, that being a new reader, you feel like you just read something special. And we've all had those moments where it's like, whoa, I just read something that we're going to be talking about. And I feel like this is that. I really do. So we've got a lot more books to come. We're 1 book down, which is just remarkable. We've got to be quick through the rest of these. But before we move forward, we've got breaking news, not breaking news, but something you guys need to know. Pals news. Next Wednesday is when we're going to be doing the show, Pals Pulls, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, because New York Comic-Con is next week. Your boys will be there. Unfortunately, Cale can't be there because Cale lives across the pond, but Marco, Tyler, and I will be there from Thursday to Sunday, covering the event, doing interviews, getting you guys news. We'll do some social media stuff as well. There'll be videos of us together, videos of us probably speaking with creators and just posting them on social, all that kind of fun stuff. So if you don't follow us on social media, now would be a great time to rectify that at the Comics Pals on X and Instagram and Threads and probably Blue Sky. Of course, you can be on our Discord server where we're always going to be posting and keeping you guys updated with the stuff that we do. When we'll do the main show that week is a little up in the air. It'll probably be Sunday. So stay tuned for that. Keep it locked. We're going to have a great time, and hopefully you guys will be a part of that. Last year, I did a blog every day after our time at New York Comic-Con. I might bring that back, a free blog on the Patreon, just to give you guys, something to connect to while we're out there. But yeah, it's going to be a blast. We're going to try to bring as much as we can content-wise to you guys, as best as we can do. So wish us well. But I just wanted to let you guys know specifically next week, Wednesday, 6 p.m. for this show.
If you're on the Discord, we have an events calendar at the top of it. Those dates get adjusted, so if you want to get notified, just follow those. It automatically populates in the Discord, so you're kept up to date. This one was adjusted for Wednesday, and when we get a firm confirmation for the show, that'll also be updated for you guys.
Yeah. Julia Raul says, I have a question about Absolute Batman. How many issues do you think it's going to go? And will it be as good as regular Batman and also current USM? I can't speak on how good it's going to be, but it's going to go as long as I would imagine Scott has stories to tell. I've seen him talk about at least 2 years. And so that's, 24-ish issues. I think it needs more than that, but that's a good start. If he's committed to that, that's a great look.
If he has stories for that, that's an amazing look, because that means that one of the big issues we've had is how long form can you make this? Where are you guys thinking, right? Give it the time to run, give it the time to for it to have space to tell a story. And if they're committing to this length, uh, I'm excited for the rest of these books then.
Yeah. Speaking of the rest of these books, let's get into the rest of the books for Pals Pulls. Second up is Action Comics number 1070. This is the beginning of Mark Waid's time on the book. This is also the beginning of weekly Action Comics. I think we're getting 12 issues in a row weekly, something like that. Mark Waid pairing with Clayton Henry on the art, colors by Matt Herms, letters by Dave Sharp. This is essentially taking place in the margins between Absolute Power and what happens in All In Special #1, which we read last week. It's got it basically this crazy creature, an amalgamation of three people, comes through the Phantom Zone and is some super powerful Kryptonian that Superman has to, fight and, reckon with. What do the implications of this mean? What is this leading to? And him making a decision to use a particular version of kryptonite that could actually just take his powers away. I think it's the gold kryptonite. And he sends Power or Supergirl away on a mission that's pretty pivotal. What did you guys and he himself goes on a mission that's pretty pivotal. What did you guys think of this?
Go ahead, Marco. Yeah.
Sorry, um this felt to me what I've said in the past on something like Zeb Wells' Spider-Man. The book works. It's functional. It tells a good story. It tells it consistently. It communicates it well. The art is good, but I wasn't drawn in. There wasn't any kind of like emotional hook for me. It felt very much this is this is the task at hand. You go get this done. I'm gonna go get this done, and then the day is saved. And it felt like a simple episode of Saturday morning cartoon. Not that that's a bad thing, but it didn't light me on fire. And I can see the craft, but it doesn't connect.
I'm with you. I enjoyed it. It has as Atomic Hound says, a Silver Age sensibility about it. Mark Waid definitely is a guy who understands Superman and understands the kinds of storytelling that work for him. I liked a lot of what he was putting down here. I felt the threat of this, and Superman being willing to go and get the gold kryptonite made it sell even further that this is a big deal. I think my biggest issue with this is it feels like a lot of the other Superman All-Star stories we were getting before, where it feels like feels banked. This doesn't have any propulsion to it. It doesn't feel like momentum. Like Superman as a character has been going places the last few years, and it feels like this isn't the book for that anymore. Now the book for that is Superman by Joshua Williamson, and this is just like, tell whatever side story, and I don't love that.
It's almost like the world's finest just for Superman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which when I say it like that, it doesn't sound too bad, but
but it's not at the same time.
Yeah. But I'm with both of you actually. Like it's not a bad comic. In fact, I actually really enjoy the Clayton Henry art on this. Probably more than I enjoyed any other aspect of the creative on this book. Like the actual story for it, I was like, oh, that's solid. I like the Jimmy bit where he's hanging upside down from a light pole just to get a good shot because he knows Superman will save him, which is the most annoying thing to do for what a bad friend. Like, come on, dude. But at least the watch comes back later on in the story, so there's a reason for it. And I think there are good bits here and there, but yeah, it does feel like it's kind of just like almost anachronistic, out of time, just Superman story, which is a good flavor for something, especially when you have a Superman ongoing to accompany it. So maybe there is a world for this book, but it was just good to me. The Clayton Henry art though, and it was Matt Herms on colors.
Yeah.
Something about the way Herms colored things added almost like a texture that was like paper to the art.
that really kind of popped for me. It wasn't really flat colors if you look at it close, but like you look at it from far away, it looks pretty flat. It looks pretty, standard Superman colors, but there was an added depth to it that really jumped out to me.
Yeah.
Especially in the cape.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
doing some
Mm.
work on the
yeah.
cape.
Which almost made it added to the Silver Age ness of it, the kind of everyday Superman story of it, because it almost added, like, I'm reading this on an iPad. It almost added a texture to it, like I was reading it on an old comic book, and I thought that was really cool, and I maybe appreciated it more because I was reading it digitally. It gave me something that I cannot get digitally with the colors. Great week for colors.
Yeah, it felt that sandiness, just like a little bit. Yeah, I that was the first thing that I noticed, and I really appreciated the art. Clean lines, very good form and construction. I mean, you know what it reminds me of? Like the old uh, VCR kind of crackle a little bit when like a little thing might pop here and there. But yeah, stellar art, real good.
I really, really enjoyed this. For me, this is way, way different from just about everything else we've read coming out of Superman recently. Where, it's these two villains that and oh no, there's 50,000 of them. This is one, admittedly, three guys put into one, but their combined strength is three Kryptonians' strength. And, they put Superman and Supergirl on the ropes by themselves. I thought that was great. I was sweating it. Like, I was having a great time. I thought this ruled.
Cale, it
And
kind
then
of.
Sorry,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, did it feel like pre New 52 Superman to you? Because it kind of did to me.
Yeah, absolutely. This the the gravity of this fight wasn't like the Doomsday fight, but it had echoes of that. Like, you know, there were moments where it was like, "Ooh, what the hell are they gonna do?"
I guess I never felt that they were, at wit's end. I just believe that they would kind of find their way out, and I'm sure that's
Well, I
like
mean,
that's
that's
the construction.
superhero comics.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
for sure.
Welcome to
Right?
comics,
But like, I never felt like there was going to be a tense moment. And then when the gold kryptonite came out, I'm like, okay, well, there it is, your little Deus Ex Machina, right? Like, it's going to be in the most remote region ever. Nobody's going to go here because nobody can withstand it. And behind this lead container is the thing that'll win us the victory. I thought it was cute that Jimmy was the one delivering the final blow. That makes a lot of sense and feels good. But uh, that didn't land for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just in a place where I thought this was solid. It was strong. I don't really have a ton of complaints, but at 4.99 weekly, there's just no chance that I'm going to follow this. That's just a huge ask. That's $20 a month for Superman comics.
I am interested to see where he goes because I'm not familiar with the negative zone
Phantom
like
Zone.
that. So to be in that and for him to have a journey like that, I'm interested in that part. I'd rather wait to see how this plays out than this issue itself. Like this issue worked, not for me, but I'm curious to see how that goes forward.
What'd you guys think of the backup, the Supergirl backup story here?
I thought it was interesting. It set something up, but I wish it set more up. We we see Supergirl go through and sort of gather resources for a mission she's going on, and she makes people forget that they've met her. But we're never really told what she's going to do.
I think that's part of the mystery, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but why do I care then?
Maybe you care enough about her to want to find out.
It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
I mean, like she was in the first part of the book. I care about that version. That story. Is this connected? I don't know.
I
I feel like
think that was the thing. I assumed this wasn't connected. This was like a separate backup and not necessary because it's not an epilogue, is it? I don't remember now. Yeah, it's not. It's not an epilogue. So I just assumed, you know, this is a whole different thing. She's going on her own adventure, but the character is not a strong enough attractor for me to want to proceed.
I enjoyed this backup. I thought it was interesting. Mariko Tamaki on the words, Skylar Partridge on the art, colors by Marissa Luis, letters by Becca Carey. I really have wanted to find my way into Supergirl, and it just hasn't happened. There's been good stories here and there. Tyler, my God. There's been good stories here and there. Um, but I just haven't been able to do it. And this backup was like, okay, she's doing something that Superman asked her to do, but she's going about it in a sneaky way and she's erasing people's minds. And, there's all this intrigue to it. And she took Power Girl out. I'm just like, I kind of want to know where that's going. I'm almost more interested in that than I am the main story.
Yeah. Well, where's the comment? I saw it here just a second ago. Amin points out that it feels like mystery for mystery's sake. It's C.W. Gordon. Mystery for mystery's sake is not fun anymore. It's less mystery and more just purposefully withholding vital information.
which on a backup you even have less room to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's another for me. The backup was the same similar case as the first, the main part of the book, where like I loved the Skylar Partridge art. Partridge art. I don't really know how to pronounce that, but I thought her work on it was really good. It felt more like a boom book or an image book. It didn't feel like a style that I would typically see at DC, let alone a Superman book. There was a scratchiness to it that I really enjoyed. But the story was like, all right, Supergirl again has to leave the Superman family, which is kind of getting annoying at this point. And she even like calls it out here. She's like, I'm used to this, I'm like, but I don't know.
Which also sucks because literally 2 pages before, Superman does say that he needs John and her to stay behind in case the Phantom Zone projector blows up again or whatever. Well,
I'm gonna say pull, but it's kind of not the strongest green flag from me. Like I liked it, but I don't foresee myself really pulling this whole series. I don't see that happening. It's too much. Weekly $5. I'm good on that.
So is a yellow flag for you, or
Ah.
okay?
this was a pull for me. And I'll be interested to compare it to the Williamson title. Because Wade on this and the story that we have been told is coming, this is a lot more interesting to me.
It's a pull for me. I really like the Phantom Zone and the tease of Mon-El coming back. Is again enough for me where this feels like Superman that I caught up on after reading the New 52 for reading pre New 52. It does feel like it feels like 2008 Mark Waid, which is like good. That's a positive. So I'm interested to kind of keep going with this for sure.
It's a pull. I'm for the construction of the book. It's good. But I didn't find my way in. That doesn't mean that next issue won't bring me in.
All right, let's jump right into the next book. Let's talk Batman and Robin, number 14. This is by Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Javi Fernandez, colors by Marcelo Maiolo, Steve Wands on the letters. So, Batman and Robin back together again. I wasn't reading the previous creative team's run, the Williamson stuff, so I had dropped off around 3 issues in. I wasn't loving it. Batman and Robin back at it again, another adventure. Damian is rebellious again. You know, Bruce and Damian go to some kind of an event, and Damian's being a bit of a brat. Uh, Bruce has to break off to do Batman things. Um, and it's setting up, you know, a mystery in the margins that sort of reminds me of like a not a Court of Owls, but there's clearly some kind of a cult thing going on or something like that. What'd you guys think?
I was getting like Resident Evil Village vibes from like the antagonists that are kind of in the background here. Philip Kennedy Johnson writes a really good, kind of like a creepy villain. Like I'm thinking of the villains that he created during his Green Lantern run, John Stewart Green Lantern, and the stuff with like the old gods that he does with pretty much all the other stuff he's written too, where the characters that are teased in this do feel like there's mythological, almost like folklore that Batman now has to come up against. I think that's intriguing. I'm a little tired of bratty Damian and Bruce having to control that. I thought we got past it. I thought Damian finally was allowed to grow. That being said, I know PKJ is a father, so I think this is it does feel at least realistic in what the book is. So I don't think that's a knock on the writing at all. I think out of the all-in books that we read this week, this was probably my favorite.
Yeah, I like that Damon's a little shit. That's just the what I imagine the character to be, and I've not read the pieces where he's grown necessarily, or at the very least the solo series, he's still that. So this felt just comfortable, and I like the interactions. I do like the controlling. He is a kid. This feels like what the dynamic should be, and I like that, especially the setting that we get. Bruce is, they're buttoned up, right? So you got to be buttoned up, and he has to get this fucking mongrel to, take a shower and put on a blazer. And I like that. That's fun to me. So I agree with you, Tyler. This was probably of the sets that we read of All In. This was my favorite.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the dynamic between Bruce and Damian, and I like that. I even like that Bruce had to come down on Damian as a dad for a minute. I think that's something we haven't seen out of those two in a real way. He's not perfect like John Kent, so you know he's gonna get the the angry finger. But I don't. I also I had bits and pieces of sort of unclarity, and I wonder if it's if it's my age that's y'all shouldn't do that while I'm looking down. That's not fair.
We were trying to decipher what the angry finger looks like.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
Sean gave 2 fingers, and that's
He's
just too
doing
much,
his,
Sean.
doing his little waggle. I want to see you skulls with one KO.
There were bits and pieces here, especially at the end, where I felt like I wasn't totally sure what I was looking at. And I couldn't quite tell if it was because it was referencing something or if it was because I'm not supposed to know yet.
Can you call out one of the pieces specifically? I'm curious if it's something I also had an issue with.
The end where we see the, I don't know, Ebenezer Scrooge or whatever the fuck.
The guy looks like a Haunting of Hill House character. Just
Yeah.
yeah. There was some because especially the last page. I had to look at the last page longer than I should have, just to decipher where the explosion is happening.
Yeah.
I think that the fire bits of it were kind of muddy in the terms of like storytelling. At least for me, I agree with you.
The boiler room's underneath, so they're popping from below.
Yeah, but then you see above, and it's supposed to be like multiple floors above. There's like the ground cracking, but then it goes right back to underground where the explosion happens, and it makes you think the explosion maybe happened on top, but it didn't. I don't know. It just seemed a little storytelling wise. It was a little confusing to me.
Gotcha.
I enjoyed this quite a bit. I have some issues with Damien's characterization just because I've read quite a few Damien comics and I feel that he's not really like this anymore. And that's one of the problems with children characters in particular is like, specific behavior is typically associated with specific ages, and depicting each stage of that is different. Like a 9-year-old's attitude problem isn't the exact same as a 14-year-old's. And this struck more as like closer to that 9-year-old than a 14-year-old. And that kind of bothered me because I think he's supposed to be a teenager and he don't feel like. So that was a little frustrating, but I got the point of what PKJ was trying to do, and I think it works if you just read this book and focus on this book.
Yeah.
Sending Damien to a table with the little girl who still says mama was like, all right, how de-aged is Damien at this point?
Right. Or are we supposed to read that as like, he's not supposed to be at that table, but he's not ready for the grown-up table either. And like I just wasn't exactly sure how to take all that. But I liked the reference to the chess game. That was in this issue, right? The
Yeah.
chess, yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked that sequence where Bruce is kind of like, don't touch the chessboard, and Damien kind of doesn't, care about what Bruce is trying to tell him. Yeah.
Two things. Flo Dameron, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Absolute Batman was fire. Can't wait to watch the rewind.
Hell yeah.
We talked about it for a while, so you got a lot to catch up on. And secondly, if we're calling out bits that I did really like the car chase sequence in this. There is a bit where Batman and Robin they kind of grapple themselves into the back seat of a car, and they're shrouded, and all you see is their eyes, which is almost like a Scooby-Doo thing.
Yeah.
And the way Robin's eyes are just so much bigger than Batman's, and just the way Damien's costume looks in this, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
end of that scene, how it all sort of played out, was also a little confusing to me. How did the bat plane was involved and they grappled the two together? What was the bat plane doing?
Yeah, that sequence was there was a lot happening in different moments. Stuff was being said but not shown. That
Yeah.
part was a little hard.
Speaking of that sequence, though, one thing I really love is a confident Batman. And, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, but I go to Midtown or I go to my LCS every week. And, I try to be confident when I'm there. And I'm like, gosh, what am I going to buy? Do I want to continue to pull this? Like, you just get lost in your thoughts, right? And here's a guy, Batman, who has guns trained on him. He's in moving traffic. He's on top of a moving car. There's a bat plane above him. His child is with him being shot at. And he's just like, yeah, I'm handling it. They're like, and the bombs, and he's like, yeah, I'm handling it. I
Yeah.
like I can barely
Yeah, the
handle
bombs.
my day-to-day life. Batman is amazing.
Sorry, I got scared. I thought Marco turned into Batman. The background threw me off there for a second.
Marco doesn't give Batman to me.
No way.
Now Marco's more of a Flash.
At
No.
best, Marco might give Robin. Not
Right.
Damien either. Like,
No. And I was gonna say Dick, but I don't know if Marco gives Dick.
Oh, we know he does.
I think we know Marco gives Dick.
I hope he somehow still has his headphones on. Nope, he doesn't.
Nope.
All right. Okay, Batman and Robin. Number.
I'm waving my green flag. It's a pull for me.
It's a pull. Yeah, listen.
It's a pull for me too. Marco, what do you think?
To pull.
Nice.
Absolutely. Love it.
All in.
All in.
MP says, I appreciated Oracle being in this. I'm glad we're continuing to reestablish her as one of Batman's key recurring allies. Yeah, I agree. I have a soft spot for Batgirl, Barbara as Batgirl, so that's probably never going to go away for me. But I just like to see her being in the mix. However, they're going to include Batgirl or Barbara. You want to hit a couple more comments before we move on?
Yeah, go ahead, Cal.
Oh, please.
I'll pull it up.
Tilo says after Boy Wonder, I don't need another Damien story for a while. And that is connected to Fresh News 24/7. He says, remember when Grant killed Damien? He hasn't been right since, which is also connected to Velvet Intrigue, who says, for real, I always felt like Damien should have stayed dead. Jason too. I sort of agree. I don't like Damien. Or I don't like Damien with Bruce. I think Bruce should have stayed dead.
I was a big fan of Dick Batman, so I'm not totally against that thought.
I love Damien. I don't know, man. He gets a bad rap, I feel like. I love Damien. Good kid.
The whole point is he's not a good kid.
I mean, he's got a good heart at the end of the day. He hasn't done anything too egregious.
He means well. He's just kind of an asshole.
But who was not an asshole when they were 14 years old? Raised by terrorists.
Oh, see, now I don't have that point of reference.
I mean, see, yeah, but that doesn't endear me to him.
Well, no, of course not. But like, I see where he's coming from, and I like that they gave Bruce a problem child. They didn't give him a goody two shoes. What? That's not additive. We've gotten 50 Robins like that.
He could have turned into a nepo terrorist instead, like Osama's son. But he turned out pretty okay.
What?
Oh, that's recent news. Never mind.
Wow. All right. Listen, I'm going to skip all that, and we're going to get into Green Lantern Civil Core Special #1, written by Jeremy Adams and Philip Kennedy Johnson, the two writers who have been stewarding the Green Lantern characters recently, with art by Salvador LaRocca, colors by Luis Guerrero, letters by Dave Sharp. Listen, first things first, stand on business right now. Everybody who's been saying, because I read it, I see it, everybody who's been shitting on Salvador LaRocca's art, stand down. Stand down. LaRocca's an OG. Stop it.
Where was LaRocca in this?
The whole issue?
Yeah.
What?
He
Really?
He was everywhere. He was every panel on the page.
He was colored in a flatter style for once.
Sorry, Sean, we're saying stand down to the haters?
Yes.
No, I gotta stand up here. Sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't too fond of the art of this one.
There aren't any seats. It's standing room only in here. I don't know if you.
Wow. That's what we're gonna do?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This
All right,
is
so do it.
This is good LaRocca, but I still wasn't really feeling it.
I mean, that page where they're having in the kitchen, the nondescript kitchen, which is somehow is 14 different rooms all at once. It's just the place, the placement of people in that room isn't consistent. I think the characters all. I'm sorry, the characters are bad. I don't know what LaRocca has against Carol Ferris, but she is not drawn well this issue. The Star Sapphire business is not great.
Wow.
I'm not that harsh on it. There were some moments of inconsistency, like page 3, the first 2 panels, going from a front to a side view. Okay, Star Sapphire, I see the face construction, but like it worked. The panels were good. The way that he drew action was fun. I love Kilowog. It wasn't.
Do you love Kilowog's tiny Donald Trump hands?
Wait, what?
Look at that
Oh,
yellow
the
lantern
first
Kilowog's teeny
reveal.
tiny.
He does have tiny hands.
That's pretty funny, actually. Didn't
I
notice
don't know,
that.
man.
They get bigger. They get bigger though. Like a couple
A
pages.
page
in.
later, you
He's a
mean?
grower. Gosh.
I have to say, Kilowog's always been a shower.
Yeah, it's a shower, if anything. That guy's
Come
got
on.
the guy's fully hogged up. Here's what I'll say about this book. I think it does a very admirable job. PKJ is not going to be on Green Lantern after this issue, I believe. This is kind of being all going to be in Jeremy Adams's Green Lantern book. Am I right about that? Does anyone want to fact check
As
me
of
on that?
now.
As of now, yeah. So this did feel like a lot of handing off maybe some of the plot points he started in John Stewart Green Lantern to Jeremy Adams, and really kind of seamlessly, honestly, folding it into the larger Jeremy Adams story that's going on. Like the whole idea with the Dark Star ring, and that then going to like the main villain Thoros, or I believe his name is. Like I thought that was like, oh, okay, this felt like an actual handing of the torch of a storyline, and it kind of worked. That being said, it's set on pages where every background is a set of squares with a gradient filter that I put in Photoshop. Like, I just the art was really taking me out of this. But story wise, I thought it was good.
I had a great time story wise.
Yeah.
I was following it. I was in. I haven't been reading Green Lantern, and now I think I will go back. Because this got me pumped for Green Lantern.
Like, when's the last time
Yeah.
you've seen Alan Scott in a Green Lantern book? You know what I mean?
Fighting the Guardians or the Unseen. I gotta catch up with Cosmic DC. This is crazy.
I've been having a lot of fun with the Green Lantern world recently. Between the two books, they've both been awesome. And this feels like both of those books, the best things about them just being put into this one. I've been dying to see where this United Planets storyline is going to go. We finally got some, at least evolution in that story. In some ways, I guess, resolution, because Staros is gone. All that was really cool. I really liked all of that. The giant creature that, he ends up becoming or whatever, that was really cool. Seeing the lanterns work together. I thought the dialogue was sharp and crisp. And again, I really liked Salvador LaRocca. I'm a big fan of his, going all the way back to the Iron Man days. And I really loved his artwork during Darth Vader. I thought he was excellent there too. So I'm into what he does. For me, this was a home run.
I don't know that I'm a fan of the Green Lantern stuff. I tried to go into this with like, I don't have any context, right? I haven't been following that series, and that's not part of the universe that I typically delve into. But the character interactions weren't super interesting with me. It didn't always feel like they've had years of relationships, and in the moments where they do, it's like they crack a joke about it. Um, uh, and it those moments are supposed to build an emotional connection, and they didn't with me. So John Stewart's the only one that I know well enough, and he wasn't as prominent in this book as some of the other interactions and characters. So uh, it was uh, it was a well constructed narrative, but again, similarly to the Superman piece, didn't pull me in. And I want to like these characters, but my history with them is limited, and this doesn't do much to catch me up as well.
This is a rough comic to read if you don't know anything about these
Yeah.
people.
It's not meant to even be that kind of comic, I don't think either.
No.
I don't know anything about the United Planets business. So that was a little foggy, but I got the gist.
Oh man, dude, you got to go back and
Is
read
that
Green Lantern.
is that Green Lantern, or does it start in World
It's
War?
war. It's War World, but the stuff that's really important to it all is in Green Lantern proper.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you just really care about that, you can read that stuff. Um, yeah, so for me, I'm gonna say pull. I really enjoyed this. I've been on
Yeah.
the Green Lantern train, and this just continues to roll in a direction that I'm very happy with. So I think the creators are doing a fine job.
I think the art is kind of inconsistent at best here. But for Green Lantern, like cosmic political drama, I think this rules. So it's a pull for me.
Gonna say pass. It's not up my alley. It's hard to get in on this issue. So hopefully another one. But yeah, this one didn't do it for me.
It's a pull for me. I've been really enjoying both Green Lantern stories. I caught up to it like a month back. Finally caught up to both of them, and seeing how they kind of merge both stories in a way that makes sense. I really liked that. It was actual payoff for me as a reader. And knowing that Green Lantern, what is it, 16 comes out next week?
Yep.
And it's Harmonica on art. Like, all right, but my main gripe of this book is fixed next issue. So, yeah, this is a pull for me, even though I'm not the biggest LaRocca fan.
Silhouette says DC cooking on cosmic stuff this decade. Yeah,
You see those New Gods pages? Holy hell. Oof.
that's
Oh,
gonna tip the scale.
Oh, for
yo,
sure.
and not to give insight to my newsletter next week, but I just read the original New Gods. Y'all, Kirby was on another level. I am crazy about the New Gods. It rules.
Awesome.
Do you have an omnibus?
I have the Jack Kirby omnibus. Yeah.
Well, you guys can look forward to a review of that on Cale's newsletter next week over on patreon.com/the comics pals, where we're always giving you guys bang for your buck. Definitely join up with the Patreon if you want your own superhero or supervillain nickname and origin, which we give out and shout out every single week on the main show, Saturdays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. So that's where you can hear that. But there's a whole bunch of other exclusives and fun stuff over on our Patreon page. So make sure you guys check that out if you haven't. Let's keep things rocking and let's talk about the Ultimates #5. This is written by Dennis Camp with art by Juan Frigeri, colors by Federico Blee. The letters here by Travis Lanham. The band is back together for this issue. And perfect timing because it is the introduction of a brand new character, a new iteration of Hawkeye. And this version is a character whose name is it listed on the team? No, of course not. I'm blanking on their name. Charlie Ramsey. Charlie Ramsey. And they are native. And their Native American origins play heavily into this issue and the reasoning as to why they are doing what they are doing, which is attacking a freaking nuclear site. Like, this is crazy. And Captain America is sent by Tony to stop them. And we get a lot of dialogue from Charlie about why they're doing this, you know, what the United States has taken from them as a native person, and, you know, pairing Captain America up, you know, the basically the stand-in for America, you know, the person who upholds the value and virtues of America up against a native person, someone whose values were stomped out in favor of the proliferation of American idealism, and to essentially take this country out from under them, you know, that's a really stark contrast. And keep in mind that Captain America was created in 1930-ish or something in that realm, right? That's still over 100 years, 200 years after what was done to the native people. So you see Captain America standing there, and it's like, I represent everything that America stands for. Okay, but what you stand for happened to my people under the watch of this country that you have on your freaking head and your shield.
What you stand for is on the literal dirt of my ancestors.
Exactly.
And think
I
of
thought
that.
that was a great.
It also plays on the whole idea that like this is the millennial book. You know, this is the Avengers for like my generation. It's the young generation talking to Boomer Cap. Like, no, this is I'm not gonna just stand by. I'm gonna actually take, even steal what I need to make things right. Because this character was not supposed to. They were not supposed to become Hawkeye. You know, it was supposed to go to Clint, and Clint gave it up. Whatever the Clint is of this world, gave it up. They stole it. And I really like that idea that like possibly not a perfect person, but it might be the right person that's needed for what's gonna what the ultimates really is.
I liked when they said, you know, this was because he even calls it out himself. He's like, you know, I'm the person of action. I'm the person that while my ways are going to be steeped in this violence, I'm trying to affect change. And I thought that was really cool because the premise of all this is that change was affected. Change has happened, right, to the world, and this is just continuing that momentum. Yes, this person now is a consequence of that change, and it furthers that consequence. So I love that. And there was the moment even of where he calls the question. He's like, you know, Stark is a hero. You, Captain America, are a hero. The guy who gave up the suit, he's still technically a hero. But when I do something and stand up for the ideals that I believe in, that I think are right, I'm the villain. The villain. I'm the bad guy, right? And I like that you had Captain to what you were saying, Sean, to be that juxtaposition. And at the end, when they team up, you know, similar. It's a subtle message of like, you know, we win this together, kind of thing. And I like that. That's the takeaway. Even if at the end he still says, "Look, we're maybe not necessarily cool. I fuck with you because we just killed these guys, we beat these guys, but that doesn't mean I'm not on your ass still."
I do just want to say that Dennis Camp did go on social media to confirm that Charlie is they them,
Oh, okay.
like a two-spirit person.
Oh, okay.
Which the concept, of course, is steeped in Native American culture and stuff like that. So definitely a they. Um, this would have been my pick of the week on any other week. This is such a good comic book. Dennis Camp is, this is again the sins of the father as a literal concept in earlier issues, but also a broader theoretical concept when you apply it to the world, when you apply it to America, when you apply it to our use of technology and how that has damned different pockets of people. I mean, take this issue in conjunction with the one with She-Hulk, issue 3. Like, man, do they not go hand in hand in telling a pretty damning story about America?
Not only that, we're like, I think this was a good issue with the whole Hawkeye of it all. But it also is progressing the main story of what's going on with the Ultimate Universe by giving us a little stinger at the end with Hulk, which I feel like a lot of the other Ultimates books are just not even addressing. So yeah, I'm with you, Sean. I really like this issue, and like typically, this would have been a pick of the week probably, but it's just damn good storytelling. It's some of the best Avengers storytelling I've read in I was gonna say really long time, and then I had a realization which is like, oh no, it's been a really long time. Hickman,
Yeah.
probably, honestly.
I think I'm along the line with Cole here. Cole says, I was really surprised Marvel let Dennis put the quotes in at the start. That was very powerful, but I felt the core of the book didn't hit as hard. I think I sort of agree with that. Those quotes set this up very much as the stark reality of, the American government versus the Native Americans. And this, there's a lot of that in here, but it just, I don't know, for what we, especially comparing it to issue 3, for what we got, it didn't feel quite as impactful for me. It just I don't know, it just didn't resonate as much.
I'm going to read those quotes now. The first one is from, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name, but they are also known as Crazy Horse. And the quote is, "Upon suffering beyond suffering, the Red Nation shall rise again, and it shall be a blessing for a sick world, a world filled with broken promises, selfishness, and separations, a world longing for light again. I see a time of 7 generations when all the colors of mankind will gather under the sacred tree of life, and the whole earth will become one circle again." That's followed up on the same page with a quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "I don't go as far as to think that the only good Indian is a dead Indian, but I believe 9 out of every 10 are, and I shouldn't like to inquire too closely in the case of the 10th."
I just want to reiterate, not for the intelligence of anyone in the crowd, but for the impact. That's the 26th president of the United States that said that. Brutal, just
Yeah.
brutal. And like the impact of those quotes, like, felt like they belonged in issue 3, or like aligned with them. But this, it just didn't. I don't know. It didn't feel analogous. It didn't feel equal to that. And I think I was let down a little by that. I thought it was good, the action and the art, and and the way everything ends up and everything Charlie says. It all makes sense and it all plays out, and it's all really good. But it just didn't hit me in the same way as the other issues did.
But I mean, it's a hard issue to follow for issue 4. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Issue
this
4
issue
is,
5.
I think Marco's just saying, like, issue 4 was such a high
right.
that it's hard to, come down
Sure.
from that.
Yeah, sure.
Which I agree with. I mean, I came into this sort of knowing that there's probably not a way that they could hit as high a mark. And I don't think that they did, but I've really found a lot to love here. Like the destiny aspect of this series so far, where, people's destinies are being stolen from them. They address that with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Here's a character whose entire existence down to their ancestors is all about stolen identity, stolen from them. Their land stolen, their culture stolen, appropriated and erased. And now this person has a chance to steal destiny back. Not something that was for them, something that was for some other white guy, like it always is, and manifested their own destiny by digging in a white man's trash and pulling out treasure that now allows this person to become Hawkeye.
To that comment on destiny, manifest destiny, right? Like you're moving out west. He's literally reclaiming the right to that.
Yeah. Man, that just hit me like a ton of bricks. It
Sure,
really did. It's a special comic. And Juan Frigeri doing great work. I really love the action stuff. When Captain America is being sieged by this version of Hawkeye's multiple techno bows or
Love
arrows,
that.
rather. Look at that. Look at that movement, man. Look at that. That's so awesome.
One of the bits I liked about the arrows too, it kind of just answers one of the things people have an issue with when it comes to Hawkeye, is that these are self-replicating Tony Stark arrows, so he can never run out. It's not a problem.
Yep.
I love the inventiveness of the variation, the variety of all of them was really cool. Just and they came in at the right time, and that doesn't feel cheesy. It just feels like, well, this is the tech.
And that costume for Gary made is so good. I have the Inuk Lee variant cover on this, and it's like it's the right parts of a classic Hawkeye costume. It's got like the loincloth,
Yeah.
like the crotch cloth. in it, and it keeps the purple and that kind of tealish blue. Oh, it's so good. It's so damn good. The frills on the near the knees, so good.
The last page once again teases the idea that this iteration of the Hulk is going to go and kill the Ultimates. And he tells this world's Robert DaCosta that, hey, this isn't really that big of a deal. He says the Ultimates operate as an insurgency. You can't destroy an insurgency piece by piece. I'm going to kill them all at once. And next issue's cover suggests that we will be seeing that encounter. Now, these Ultimate books, they've been big on not delivering exactly what we expect, but Ultimates has not missed yet. So my hope is that Dennis Camp can find a way to show us that conflict in a way that feels good and meaningful and satisfying in the same one and done fashion this series has operated in. Tall order, but I think they can do it. Either way, I am double flagging this. This is a phenomenal comic book. Run out and get it. If you're not on the Ultimates train, you deserve a red flag because everybody should be reading Ultimates.
Pull it.
Easy pull for me. So much so that I want Marvel Legends of these characters.
Hell yeah. That has to happen at some point down the road. All right, let's get into our last book, which is the book that you guys selected, Transformers number 13. This was the listener pick this week. A whole bunch of you voted. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate you guys consistently voting in the poll, which is on youtube.com/thecomics under the community tab. It goes up every Thursday at 5 p.m. We go live an hour later for this show where you can hear us speak about the winner. So this week on the poll, we have Catwoman number 69. I don't understand, by the way, how they did not give Teenie Howard the opportunity to write Catwoman 69. Because now 69 is just going to be any old issue.
Kind of a slap in the face, honestly.
Sort of, right? So that got 13% of the vote thus far. That is a new creative team, Torn Gronbuck, who I love. And I'm going to be buying this for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. I don't think that'll be any old issue.
Well, we'll see. Titans, number 16. That's got John Layman coming on board with that. I don't remember the artist, unfortunately, but that's got 30% of the vote so far. World's Finest, number 32 at 26%. And Batman Full Moon, number 1, winning the poll thus far at 31%. Makes a lot of sense. We are in spooky season. This is a spooky book where Batman's going to face off with some kind of a werewolf-type creature.
It's a Black Label book, right?
Who's the creative team on that?
Want to say Rodney Barnes and Pigeon.
Oh, is it Stefan Stajic?
I think, it's Steven Subic.
Stefan
Subic,
okay.
yeah.
Well, I mean, Black Label started with Batman showing Hog, so we're going to have him full mooning now.
Nice. There you go. So, yeah, make sure you guys get your votes in on that. We're going to talk about Transformers now. Daniel Warren Johnson, joined by Jason Howard on this issue, doing the art. Mike Spicer on the colors. Russ Wooten on the letters. This is largely a flashback that shows us the origin of Starscream. I was surprised by that because it made me realize I don't know the origin of Starscream, but I shouldn't be surprised by that because I don't know a fucking thing about the origin of the Transformers. So why would it matter that I didn't know this? I thought this was solid. I genuinely, truthfully don't have a lot of compelling things to say about this, so I'll leave it to you guys if you do. It's really just Starscream's origin.
Yes. Well, yes. But I think it's a fine issue because the previous issue 12 was like a culmination of like 2 arcs, really. So we kind of get to slow down and learn a little bit more about kind of one of the big fan favorites, I would say. Starscream. Starscream's one of my favorites for sure. And we get to learn about him before he went freaking nuts. And it's kind of a sad story, and especially you kind of end the book too with his current state where he's like legless, and now he's being co-opted by Mars, which I think is like Destro owned. It's gonna be interesting. Like it's weird to feel for Starscream because in a way he's almost worse than Megatron because he never like in my eyes he never really had the backstory that Megatron has. So I mean I thought it was a fine, slow one and done.
I like that it was a one and done. And at the beginning, I was confused as to what this was showing us. Like it until we got to the page where we see Optimus come in and blow shit up. I'm like, oh, these are the effects of war, right? This is the a lot of what has been Daniel Warren Johnson's message in this, even from the early couple issues, that there are effects that happen and these people are traumatized to some degree. But this was a really cool way to show that and show the effects of that and the consequences of war with Starscream. I mean, they were just regular people. They were fun-loving innocents. Well, as it's
People's
portrayed,
word,
right?
yeah.
And then one thing happens, and his friend Genevo gets killed, and that's it. He knows what side he's on, and that felt very grounded.
I had trouble with the first part. So he takes his name because his friend dies and he says you screamed at the stars and got them to look at us. To what end? Like okay, so in the first part he launches a grenade at the giant giant transformer.
It's the Omega
And
Transformer, yeah.
and it looks at him. So what is the I guess maybe it's a Transformers lore thing, but I don't.
It's almost like they're gods in a way. So it's like, we're small. You made God look at us.
Just for a minute they looked at us.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I got of it too.
I just
Okay.
sort of don't care. I don't know. Like I like Starscream a lot. He's my favorite Transformer, but I like him as a sniveling weirdo douche with power struggle issues, and I don't want to know why he's like that. And I know the answer now, and I don't care. Like I feel like DWJ was trying to really inject some emotionality into it, and I respect the attempt, but I didn't feel a damn thing, and it just didn't land on me. That's okay. It's just me, but that was how I came away from this.
It's tough when the character is already so far from what we get here. It doesn't, it almost trying to rehabilitate him or humanize him, quote unquote. It almost takes away from both sides of the character.
It's my least favorite trend in storytelling is rehabilitating and humanizing villains. I just don't think it's effective a lot of the time. And yeah, they took a character here who now they want me to care about, and it's like, well, why? Why do I have to care about him? Why is it so bad that he's just a piece of shit?
Should heroes be redeemable? Or sorry, villains?
We're gonna make another membership video about this.
We've made that. Yeah.
Still a pull for me. I'm one of my favorite ongoings currently is Transformers.
How did you feel about the different art? Because we did have Howard here.
It felt right in line, honestly, with Jorge Corona. Not quite as cartoony, a little more.
Hey, Corona.
There it is. A little more to the point, I think, and a lot less flashy. But I think that's also what the story was. So I think it kind of lended itself well to it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass. I've been on the fringes of Transformers. I've enjoyed the more recent issues, and I wanted to continue riding that wave. This pivot didn't do anything for me, And I just don't care about the origin of Starscream, unfortunately.
I think it's a well constructed issue, but similarly, it doesn't make me care for the series for Transformers. So I wouldn't pick this up. This wouldn't get me back on the train.
Cole in the chat here says this book is one of the best reads for me every month, and I'm a total Transformers newbie. Huh.
Hey, awesome.
Does
Glad to hear it.
the second half of this issue do anything for you with him being collected by the GI Joes, I guess?
It's Mars. It's the villain organization.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, I mean, that's through Destro controls. So I really like the Destro book, which I just caught up on and finished. So again, there's more of that interconnectivity and energon that we don't really see too much of in Transformers outside of the outset. G.I. Joe's kind of been bubbling up in the background. We have G.I. Joe 1 coming out soon. So I was happy to see another wrinkle in that connection because this issue is kind of a one and done. It at least did something to push the narrative for the series going forward.
All right. That is it for the reviews, but we are not quite done. We do have one more thing to do here, which is the stack. So the stack, Sean Stack, is a segment that we do because I buy a lot of comics every week, and I gotta work that number down. So you guys are helping me by guessing the amount of books that I pulled this week. Whoever's closest without going over can claim the code for any of the Marvel books that I pulled this week that we didn't talk about on the show. So without further ado, get those numbers in.
Let's do it. Cal, you said you pulled on Transformers?
I think I'll pass on this issue specifically. This one didn't particularly do that much for me. Again, it's the rehabilitation of a well-known villain, asshole, and like he's an asshole for no other reason than he's a sniveling asshole. I don't need him humanized. So,
Well, what are your guys' numbers for this? As we hit
for the
numbers.
stack.
Yeah.
For the stack? Ooh, this was a busy week. Sentinels #1 came out too this week, I think.
Did almost won the poll. No, it didn't.
Has Spider-Man come out this week?
No, I don't think so.
Amazing Amazing came out this week.
I did it.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna say. I think the excitement of Absolute has not tempered Sean. If anything, it has emboldened him. I want to say 14.
Do you want to
My
add one
man
more
said-
since he had two covers?
Exactly.
It emboldened him, so you're going 14?
Yeah. I'm saying he's made progress over the course of time.
Marco, I went out and bought 2 issues of the same book. You're telling me you think Sean went out and only got 14 books?
I think he's keeping to some level of restraint.
Y'all nuts.
I don't think the excitement of Absolute Batman means he's going to buy more books. Maybe more issues of Absolute Batman. Marco, green screen doesn't work for you. Thank you, Zoom. I'm going to go 15 with this. 15.
Oh my god. Oh man, Marco.
But James Jones. Oh, James Jones says 17. Dan already said 16.
He did. He put that in early.
David
I'm gonna-
Melendez Doria said, "Did Monstrous come out this week?"
I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna call it an even 20. I'm with Sean Ali.
See, I like Sean Ali, but his name is just misspelled. It's just an issue for me. I can't look
Yeah.
past it.
Well, listen. We'll see how good a guesser he is.
Fair.
Near, you made it just in time for the stack.
Yeah, you're not too late. Not at all. CW Gordon says Monstrous is one of the best indies on the shelves. Y'all are tripping. It is absolutely nothing against Monstrous. I loved every issue of it that I read. It has nothing to do with quality at all.
And that
It's
he's still buying.
yeah, I still buy it. Like if that's not a testament to what I think of that book, then I don't know what is. I mean, I guess reading it would be a further testament, but let's not, go
Listen.
too far.
Only so many hours in the day.
And dude, it would take all of those to catch up.
53 issues, is that right?
Sean, you catch up
Mhm.
on anything recently?
Yeah, I was reading a bunch of stuff. I was reading Nyx, and I've made a determination that I will be dropping that.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, that is
Keep-
going to be off my stack.
Keep that noted, people. You heard
Mhm.
it here.
What else did I read? Because I read a few things. I was reading Avengers, the most recent issue of Avengers. That was pretty good. I don't know how that just came out of my mouth. What the fuck?
I thought you
that's-
dropped that.
Storm will
That
do
must
it,
be
I guess. Storm and Hyperion, I guess that's all you needed.
Yeah. Well, dude, yeah, because it was pretty cool, man. I like
Yep.
the way they handled that
Yeah.
that issue with him.
I thought it was a good 2-issue story.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be more than that, like longer, but I was glad it wasn't. Am I gonna keep buying the comic? I don't know. I don't want to.
I mean, you had 2 issues in a row that were okay. That's an
I-
upward trajectory for you.
They were strong. Like the most recent one, the only thing I didn't like was when they did like some Sailor Moon shit. When they were like, "Oh, I've got the power of love. I've got the power of
I
fucking
kind of
bullshit."
like that. I kind of like that bit.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Come on.
No, not in the Avengers, man.
Especially in the Avengers.
Mm.
The power of love is what holds it all together.
They show up to Jim McKay's other book with X-Men to Quentin Quire, and he's like, "What's up, Avengers?" And it felt like he was saying it. Like somebody tweeted like, "Why is he saying it with a hard R?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Quentin looked a little weird there."
Wow. Oh my
All right.
god.
Let's jump into this. Oh. No, we can't. I can't ask that question. Sorry. Let's get into this. Robert Cashback starts us off with 11.
Fuck.
Rami Darwish gets us at 17. Friendlations is at 13. Sean Ali says 20. Mike Hank says 19. Cole says 15. Sledhead has 14. Izzy coming at you hard with 24. David Melendez Doria locking in a cool 16. Josh says 16. Aaron Ruiz says 21. Pete Collins says 19. CW Gordon says, I guess whatever perennial winner James Jones guesses. Near says 18 for the stack. I hope I'm not too late. Guess what, Near? You're not far away. James Jones says 17 for Sean. There you go, CW Gordon. It's 17. CW Gordon says 19. Jedi Ty has 18. Kevin Licona says 21. Marowak Esquiro has 15. And Robotters has the stack stops at 21. Today in Comics has 22.
Damn.
And that is it. Sean, what do you have this week?
So, before I give that answer, I want to give out one more plea for likes. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. You guys have stood strong with us here for almost 2.5 hours. That view count has been really high the whole time. Thank you guys so much for that. You're amazing. We appreciate that you're choosing us to be your review crew this week. And those of you who choose us every week, y'all are awesome. So, we know the 6 that we already talked about, plus my very special Dan Panosian Absolute Batman variant.
Oh, so that's 7. 7
Yeah.
already.
Mm-hmm. We've got X-Force number 4. We have Phoenix number 4. This is the sweet cover with her versus Gore.
Damn good cover.
Is it a Ribbit cover?
I think so.
What do you think of her costume
Gross.
being very almost like Imperial Guard type? It's got like a space costume.
To answer that, I like it on the cover. I have to see what it looks like, in the book. The cover is by Yasmin Putri.
Oh, from Dark Knights of Steel.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even know that.
Oh,
Cool.
that
Okay.
Dark Knights of Steel book that's out right now, real good. The Deathstroke
I
one.
have to catch up. Damn.
Oh, yeah, you'll like it, Marco.
I know, dude. I love that first one.
Yeah.
I've got Amazing Spider-Man number 59 here. I have Fantastic Four number 26. Blade Red Band.
Hell yeah.
This book is literally called Blade Red Band. There were no non-Red Band edition versions of this, as there should not be, because it's called Red Band. And I told you there was a ban on Red Band. I did say that, but I also said that that was coming in 2025. It's still 2024, which means I still buy bullshit like this.
We got a support friend of the show, you know?
Brian Hill, you know it.
Or
Public Domain number 9.
oh,
Yeah. Cover is just in time for con season, as you can see.
Hey.
Scarlet number 5. This is the last issue of that.
Oh, great cover.
Exceptional X-Men number 2. This was really good. Really,
Oh,
really
was
good.
it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna read it tonight.
It's the same review we did for the first one I would do for this one. The kitty stuff is all phenomenal. Whenever they kind of like do a little bit more of the like X-Men stuff, it kind of falters, but there's not that much of that, so you're good.
Okay.
Sentinels number 1.
I knew it.
This was strong, very strong.
Oh,
somebody earlier said this was their pick of the week over Absolute Batman.
no fucking way.
Which one?
Sentinels.
Really?
Get a hit of that.
It's very, very good. It feels like an Alien book, like the actual Alien movies. It has those vibes to it. For a lot of the same reasons, if you can, catch my drift. It's very quality. I think you guys will probably like it. If we would have reviewed it, you guys would have all been favorable towards it, I think. Terminator number 1. Shout out to the boy Sal from Comic Pop. He got his debut in a big book here. He got the backup, 2-page backup in this. The main stuff is by Declan Shalvey, which is awesome. I really enjoyed this story. It wasn't what I was hoping for in terms of like I'm craving that next step of Terminator stories, but it is a nice sort of self-contained thing unto itself.
That's the question I was going to ask that I couldn't because it was going to give away.
Oh, yeah, dude. Terminator is my favorite franchise. I love it to death.
Yep.
I've been looking forward to this for a while. It was strong. And I got the Alex Ross cover, which I was happy about. And Geiger number 7. This was also pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's going places now. It's doing what I'm hoping it will do.
That it?
That's
That's
it.
the end?
That's all I got.
I got 18.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Right. Who won? Got that.
Nier. Nier got it.
Let's go.
On the money.
And then Jedi Tie also with 18 after that.
Yeah, it was 18.
Nier
Wow,
and
Nier, look at you.
Jedi. Ooh,
Wasn't Nier worried about being late?
Yeah, came in right on time.
Right on time to win. Nier. Okay, I see you.
Yeah.
Nier, if you want to claim the code for any of these Marvel books, feel free to reach out. Sentinels, Exceptional X-Men, Blade, FF, Spider-Man, Phoenix, X-Factor, whatever you want. Just reach out. Ultimates, I'll have to request it, but Ultimates, whatever you want, just reach out and we'll get it to you. Thank you guys so much. Reminder that next Wednesday is Pals Pulls, not Thursday, because we are going to be at New York Comic Con next Thursday. So we'll be doing a lot of stuff from there, but just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. Show up here next Wednesday at 6 p.m. For the main show, that will be this Saturday at 10:15 a.m. We're going to have a lot of fun with that, as we always do. Lots of stuff to talk about this week, including a rumor about the next team on Batman. Can't wait to talk about that with you guys. We will see you then. Until